Hello and welcome. We are so glad you're here. My name is Lindy, my coworker Krysten, my coworker Charlee, and we're just going to dive into some different topics today, and we hope that it's helpful for you. So a question we get a lot, especially from advocates, new advocates, existing advocates, everyone on the spectrum, is I'm not a mom, so how do I advocate for a mom?
Mm-hmm.
So off the bat, like, what are your first kind of firings on that? And what would you want to say to her who cannot relate to that?
Yeah. So I've had opportunities of talking to crowds and explaining what ÄMA is. And that is one of the first things that I will repeat is that question is, well, I'm not a mom, so how can I do it? And that's where I say, I'm not a mom. And I've been an advocate for our moms. And I would say being a mom is not the priority to being a great advocate at ÄMA. Being a woman who can see another woman and love her and see her as a person is what we want. And so it's great when you can bring some life experience in that can maybe be helpful. But I think there are a lot of things that we have in common with the moms that we're serving outside of the fact that she is a mom. Mm-hmm. Being that she is a woman, she is living in this world, she is navigating life and work and also her children. And so I like to say that when I'm meeting with my moms, I let them know up front, hey, I'm not a mom. I might add that I have a lot of friends with kids. And so I've gotten to see kids. And I also say, like, you might share something, you're going to share something that will be helpful to me. Like, this is not something where I'm coming in to bring knowledge or information that only comes from me because I maybe be a mom. But instead, we're going to have a relationship here. You're going to share things. I'm going to share things. We will laugh. We may cry. But I would say not being a mom is not a negative to being an ÄMA advocate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think I started ÄMA when I was like 20 years old, no kids, out of a college dorm room, and got to build a really cool relationship with young moms at the time. They were all teenagers. And so there were so many things I didn't understand about it, but then I also had so much more time and capacity and energy to invest into these women because I wasn't a mom and I didn't have these other things in my background that were occupying a lot of that space. And so we get that question a lot. If you care about women and children, then this can be a space for you as well.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. When I think through that question, I like respond with a question, and the question is, in your own life, in our own lives, right? For the people who have supported you and loved you well, did it only come from people who were in the same lived experience?
Right.
Like when you were in college, was it only from other college students, or when you were a student of some kind, or you were an intern, or you were new in a place? Like, they don't all the people in my life, and probably true for most of us, especially those that we get to work with in the advocate side, is like, well, who in your life was supportive?
Yeah.
And did they was it only the people who shared the same life situation?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And like, we don't have to have the same lived experience to have care and love and support and trust. So that's my response.
And even if you are a mom, like, parenting styles are very different.
True.
And so you could be a mom investing in advocating for another mom, and there still be like tension of, I don't know, some type of a disconnect of like not applying some of the same practices. And so, and back to just any season of life you're in, you could have those similarities and also be approaching them really differently. Mm-hmm. So, and that's not to discourage you if you are a mom.
Sure.
But there's just a lot of assumptions that come from, oh, we're in the same season of life, we must be able to connect. And that's not always true.
Yeah. That's true.
I think to what you were just saying, Lindy, I recall a time in my life where I went through something that was very difficult and not a single person in my circle had experienced it. And yet I still was able to receive incredible support from my community.
Right.
And so I think what you said is right on, that we don't need to live the exact same experience to sit in the gap with somebody. And I think from experience, like we all would probably attest to this, is that it's just so powerful to have somebody there with you. Right. That's what you need. You don't need the expert in your experience because, like you were saying, Charlee, even if you have experienced something similar, your approach will be different because you're a human and there's other details that are just going to be different. That what we need is just a friend. What we need is a listening ear, a loving response, a gracious approach to like hope. Like, hey, what can be for today? What can be for tomorrow? And that is so powerful. I think that moves mountains in our life, and not the fact that we have exactly the same experience for me to then share what I did. Now you must do.
Right. Right. Which could then be a detriment of like, oh, just do what I did.
Yeah.
That's like a whole other conversation that we will have. Okay. So when I'm tuning into advocates, stepping into caring for the moms that we get to work with, what comes to mind when you think through like all moms, like here's some crucial nutrients, resources, experiences that all moms need, right? That as the advocate, we can lean into and try to provide or show up for or offer to and with her. Like what do moms need?
I think moms need to know that we're doing better than we might feel like we are doing, and encouragement in that space. And I believe that moms and people need to be just seen as who they are. Because even as a mom, that is one piece to her identity.
Yeah.
You know, that's not her whole identity. And so being seen, I think, is what moms need, what women need, and to be cared for at that place of what we're seeing.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and community. And I think like motherhood can be a very communal space, and it also can be a really competitive space in ways where like when you're in the trenches as a mom struggling, and I am a mom with a husband and a job and 2 cars and a place to live and put my head at night, and it's really hard. And so we think about from a perspective of ÄMA and the communities that we serve, those are moms that are experiencing a lot of like lack and scarcity from even within their own communities. So resourcing them with community, with people, and strength is oftentimes not relatable. It's the weaknesses that are relatable.
True.
It's the times that are like, I can't deal with this with my 3-year-old for one more day. I'm going to lose it. Where it's like, I totally get it. And that is like those hard places are more relatable sometimes than the good.
Yeah. No, And even, I'm like thinking through both the things you're saying of like, it really comes down to like, what do humans need? Right? Like, and can you offer some of that? Because a lot of it is like, she needs to be seen.
Yeah.
Because you need to be seen. And so she needs that same thing. Like we all need to be seen. And it's often when we're seen in the messiness of it, the weakness, like, I don't got it. That like actually the deeper or thicker or more sturdy bridges of trust are built in those moments.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to be a mom to be able to offer that or experience that with the mom you're getting to walk alongside.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. Okay, last question is kind of a different angle of it. If I'm not a mom or I don't resonate with like motherhood and that journey of what it is there anything that comes to mind that like I should be, if I'm the advocate, that I should be like cautious of or more thoughtful of, like maybe tendencies? I have a couple that come to mind, but does anything come to mind for either of you guys of where we'd want to like caution an advocate there?
If an advocate's not a mom?
Right. Like if I'm the advocate, I don't resonate with motherhood. Is there anything I should be more thoughtful about stepping into care for a mom walking through motherhood and all that entails?
I think one of the first things Charlee was just mentioning, that when she was started ÄMA, she had a lot more time. And sometimes that's a piece of pre-motherhood or not being a mom. And I think going into this work is knowing that a mom is juggling a lot. And she's juggling work, she is juggling maybe a problem at the time, but also children and maybe multiple children of different ages. And so her time might look different than her advocates who maybe doesn't have children.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really practically important to notice that our availability might be different than that of our moms, and to be gracious in that. Even when she shows up for an appointment, maybe there will be children screaming in the background, and she's doing the best she can. And so meeting her at that place of how is she balancing everything in this moment, in this day, and it's going to look different than for me. It might be easier for me to show up to a session, and just remembering that that's a different lived experience for her is, I think, important.
Yeah. What came to mind for me was just the kind of oversimplifying of like, well, why don't you just, or like, can't they just, like, if I haven't lived that and walked that out, like I don't understand some logistics or the time capacity, or like, why can't you figure out this tiny little thing? Like we're meeting at 1 p.m. So like, here we are. And I think that's a situation of just realizing like, That's a good one. Time and caution of oversimplifying her life, because I don't know what she's carrying. Even just like the mental load of what a mother is navigating day to day. Anything you'd add? Or
No, I
concur?
was going to say grace, time, space.
Yeah.
All of those.
That's a lot to carry.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming. We hope that you watch additional videos that we want to just walk alongside you and support you along your advocate journey.